Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for joining in this session of Sri Bhagavatamrita. We will be discussing today on chapters 26 to 29 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, the teachings of Lord Kapiladev to his mother, Devahuti. Before that, we'll glorify Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Ruttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Nama Pankajanabhaya Namaha Pankajamaline Namaha Pankajanetraya Namaste Pankajanghraye Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Aradhya Bhagavan Brajesh Tanayas Tadhama Vrindavanam Ramya Kachidupasana Vrajavathu Vargena Vakalpita Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanamamalam Prema Pumartho Mahan Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhur Matamidam Tatra Dharana Para. Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you for joining today to our online session on Srimad Bhagavatam. We are discussing chapters 26 to 29 of Srimad Bhagavatam and Canto 3. Before we start, we'd like to congratulate the devotees who have answered the questions of the Srimad Bhagavatam quiz that we have, and their names are Shweta Suryanarayan Mataji on YouTube, and Keshavi Mataji, Little Rushi, Deepthi Mataji, Nirguna Janava Mataji, Shyama Supriya Mataji, Nilanjana Datta, and Reena Mataji. And on Facebook, Shweta Mataji, Barsana Chitra Mataji, Ranjani Gopika Mataji, and Meena Mataji. The correct answers to the quiz has been posted on the WhatsApp group, and many of you gave the right answers. So thank you very much for enthusiastically participating in this quiz so that we can remind each other of Krishna, his pastimes, his glories, hearing and chanting. All right. So we will start today about the chapter where Kapila Dev explains the categories of the absolute truth, about Devahuti explaining the relationship, asking about the relationship between the Lord and his material energies, how Kapil Dev describes about Pradhan, Mahatattva, and Prakriti. This was one of the questions when we were discussing the second canto. And in third canto, Kapiladev describes in much, much more detail about this thing. And then we talk about the false ego, basic principles of Sankhya Yoga. Then we will have some meditation on the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna. And we will discuss what are devotional service in the mode of goodness, in the mode of passion, in the mode of ignorance, and pure devotional service. Okay, so we will start by praying for the blessings of the previous acharyas. Om Ajnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So chapter 26 starts with Kapila Dev explaining the different categories of the absolute truth. There is one absolute truth, but there are many categories. When we understand these different categories, it'll allow us to see ourselves, how we are distinct from matter. And then we'll be able to cut our material attachments, become free from Maya, and become attached to Krishna's lotus feet. So he explains that the first principle of the absolute truth, first category, is Supreme Purusha. We are all Prakriti, and Krishna is the Supreme Purusha. Purusha means the enjoyer. Prakriti means one who participates in the enjoyment of the enjoyer. The Prakriti does not suffer. Prakriti also enjoys, but Prakriti enjoys by participating in the enjoyment of the Purusha. So actually, we are all Prakriti. Krishna is the Supreme Purusha. Krishna is the Supreme Enjoyer. And all of the living entities, we are meant simply to participate in the enjoyment of Krishna. That's the first principle. Second category of the absolute truth is material nature, which creates these different forms of living entities, the senses, their presiding demigods. And then the third category is the perception of the living entity of happiness, distress, based on how they misuse our freedom. If we use our freedom in the service of the Lord, then we are happy. And when we are actually blissful, and when we misuse the freedom against the service of the Lord for our own sense enjoyment, self-enjoyment, selfish enjoyment, then that becomes a source of duality. We start experiencing happiness, we start experiencing distress at the same time. So at this point, Devahuti asks, can you please explain me the relationship between the Lord and his material energies? You told me there are three categories: the Lord, the material nature, and the living entities. So tell me, what is the relationship between the first two, the Lord and the material energy? So then, for the third time in Canto 3, the whole creation is explained as the relationship between the Lord and the material energy. Many times when devotees hear about creation of the Lord, they feel it's so confusing, it's so dry, but we should think that this is also a pastime of the Lord. This is also a relationship that the Lord is having with the material energy. And when we are able to understand this, it becomes very, very juicy. this whole understanding of the creation, why the Lord wanted to establish this relationship with the material energy, just to impregnate the living beings so that they can fulfill their desire to enjoy separately from the Lord. Because we were all in the spiritual world very happy with Krishna. But then some of us, because we have the independence, minute independence, that the Lord also has in bigger quantity, but we misuse our independence and we want to say, why am I always participating in Krishna's enjoyment? What if I can enjoy myself? And then that, as soon as that desire comes, ichha dvesha pravittena, as soon as that desire comes, boom, we are impregnated into the living entity's womb. You want to enjoy? Okay, you cannot actually enjoy separately from me, Krishna says, until you go to this material world. I'll create a new place for you, a material world, where I'll put you into illusion that you are actually enjoying. You will still not be able to enjoy there, but at least you'll be in an illusion that you're enjoying. At least your attempts will not be thwarted. And then when you are completely frustrated, I'll come to you to that Disney park, that theme park, and take you through, as Super Soul, go through all these rides. And when you are completely frustrated, I'll be there to take you home, back to Godhead. Just call out to me. Just call out to me in desperation, and I'll be there. I am there always with you. So here, this is explained how this spiritual Disneyland, the spiritual theme park was created, where we go, where the living entities enjoy from higher planetary systems to the lower planetary systems, to lower forms of life, to higher forms of life. And this roller coaster. First, Kapila Dev describes about Pradhan. He says this all starts with something called Pradhan, which is a sum total of the material nature with everything, the three modes of nature in equilibrium. This is very important. Generally, there is no perfect equilibrium of the three modes of nature. There is no pure mode of goodness, no pure mode of passion, no pure mode of ignorance in the material realm. If it's pure mode of goodness, it's Vaikuntha, it's Vasudev's stage. But even the mode of goodness, passion, ignorance are not exactly the same. They're always a little bit more here, a little bit less there. But in Pradhan, they're exactly the three modes of nature are in equilibrium. The time is in equilibrium. All 25 elements, the senses, sense organs, everything is just a bulk mass, just waiting there. And then the Lord impregnates with his eyes, with his glance. He impregnates this Pradhan, which is in equilibrium. Now, suddenly what happens? Through this glance, the living entity is impregnated into the Pradhan, and suddenly that equilibrium, perfect equilibrium, is shaken. It is said that Pradhan is Saguna Brahman. There is Brahman, which is spiritual. That's Nirguna Brahman. It doesn't have the material modes. It has spiritual modes. But the Saguna Brahman is Pradhan, which has the material modes and time and karma and all these things. But when the glance of the Lord comes, they go in, the living entities come, and suddenly there is activity that starts. Differentiation of the modes start. And then the time factor, when the differentiation of these modes start in the same Pradhan, that is called the Mahat Tattva. It is the same thing, but Pradhan without being impregnated is Pradhan. When it's impregnated and there is a differentiation that's happening, it's called Mahat Tattva. And then from there, Mahat Tattva manifests time. The Pradhan is undifferentiated, unmanifested. Mahat Tattva is differentiated, but still unmanifested. But when it starts manifesting, where time is like the mixer, is the spatula, which grinds everything, all the three modes and all these activities start, then the three modes start coming up. Then the false ego in the three modes start coming up. False ego in the mode of goodness produces mind. False ego in the mode of passion produces intelligence. False ego in the mode of ignorance starts giving all these different kinds of activities. And then, under this purview of time, when the three modes of nature are agitated, it's called karma. Then karma manifests. Then, slowly, ether, intelligence, mind has manifested, ego has manifested, now ether. Then, earth, water, fire, air, ether. Ether, then air, then fire, then water, and then earth. And slowly, slowly, these start manifesting. That's called Prakriti. When it's manifest, it's called Prakriti. It's the same thing. Pradhan, undifferentiated, unmanifested is Pradhan. Differentiated, but still unmanifested is Mahatattva. And then differentiated and manifested is Prakriti. All right, so this is the understanding of the false ego in three modes. There are the presiding deities which come. Sankarshana is the presiding deity of false ego. Then mind, the worshipable deity of mind is Aniruddha. Then false ego in passion, slowly intelligence is produced. False ego in ignorance produces sound. All the sense objects, the sensory perceptions come from false ego in ignorance. And all of these things, then Garbhodakshai and Vishnu enters with the 7 primary elements, and Virata Purusha is born with the egg of these material ingredients. From Virat Purusha, then senses, sense objects, and then Virat Purusha remains asleep. And demigods have to enter again into the Virat Purusha to wake him up. But he does not awaken until the deity which is presiding the consciousness enters. Then Virat Purusha arises from the causal waters, and that's how the whole Prakriti starts functioning. So this ends chapter 26. We go to chapter 27, where after the relationship between the Lord and the material nature, now Devahuti is asking about the material nature, and Kapila Dev is explaining by the means of Sankhya Yoga. Sankhya Yoga is based on the understanding that one is a soul and not composed of material nature. And Sankhya Yoga is nothing but Bhakti Yoga, but in a very, very analytical way. The practitioner of devotional service in Sankhya Yoga, he's in knowledge and is detached, which is also Bhakti. Bhakti means detachment and knowledge. Automatically come wherever there is Bhakti. Their action is not dictated by modes. They're free from the sense of proprietorship. They don't think that this belongs to me, that belongs to me. No, everything belongs to Krishna. I belong to Krishna. Everyone that I think belongs to me actually belongs to Krishna. My children, my wife, my family, they belong to Krishna. Let me serve them in a way that will please Krishna, because they are put under my care, but they don't belong to me. They belong to Krishna. That is how a Sankhya yogi practices. Hears and chants. He lives simply in seclusion. Seclusion does not mean that in the forest. Seclusion means even though he is in the material world, he's surrounding himself with hearing and chanting of the Lord. Then Devahuti asks, okay, so how can we get free? You told me about the Lord and the relationship with the material nature. How can the living entity get free from this Maya, from this material nature? And Kapil Dev says, Bhakti. Bhaktir Hinvatya is by bhakti, by seriously discharging devotional service. Not just engaging in devotional service, but also giving up the desire to exploit the material nature and to become one with the Lord. When these two desires go away, while we are executing devotional service and we are working on both of them, then we become enlightened and we can get rid of Maya. And then Maya cannot harm such an enlightened soul, even when he is in the material world. And then in such ways, after many births, our doubts and desires for material enjoyment will be relieved. Because at that time, the motivation is simply to please Lord Krishna. This ends when we perform such Sankhya yoga in devotional service, where our motivation is simply to please the Lord. Then Krishna gives his mercy. It doesn't say automatically it happens. Just because we are executing devotional service, we cannot demand at the end of our life, Krishna, I have chanted 16 rounds every day. I've followed the four regulative principles. Give me pure devotional service. Take me back home, back to Godhead. I deserve it. We cannot ask like that, because we are chanting and hearing and performing devotional service to please Krishna. If Krishna is not pleased, it doesn't matter how much we chant and hear. We have to do it in a way that pleases Guru, that pleases Krishna. Then they give the causeless mercy. They give mercy, something which we do not deserve. By their mercy, we'll be taken. However, because of Srila Prabhupada has said, you chant 16 rounds, follow regulative principles, serve devotees and assist in spreading the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Chaitanya will come and dance at the time of death in your mind, so that you can only have darshan of Lord Chaitanya. Because a pure devotee, like Srila Prabhupada has said this will come to pass. Our faith that Krishna will give his mercy is not because of our qualification. It's because of Srila Prabhupada's qualification. Once a pure devotee says something, Krishna makes sure that he completes it. So that is our faith, that is our hope, but we should never be an illusion that it's because of us. This ends chapter 27, and then Kapila's instructions on execution of devotional service starts chapter 28. Kapila Dev next explained Ashtanga Yoga. Now he is explaining Ashtanga Yoga. But this is also Ashtanga Yoga in devotional service. He's saying, Ashtanga Yoga, how do you perform? You should surrender to one spiritual master, not perform karma kanda, don't perform fruitive activities, but be fully celibate. Read Shastra, hearing and chanting, concentrate on the deity, concentrate mind on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the super soul within the heart. Sit straight and practice breath control to control the mind. Meditate on Vishnu by fixing the eyes and the tip of the nose. When we fix the eyes on the tips of the nose, it is neither sleeping nor awake. It is a condition, susupta. It's a condition where we are actually able to meditate on the Lord and able to control our mind. Then we see the Lord as the bluish, cheerful personality with a lotus-like hue. And then while meditating on this, we practice yoga, unless we are always accustomed to see the Lord. It is said we should not meditate on the Lord. Kapila Dev says, we should not meditate on the Lord fully, simultaneously, at once. We should go step by step. If we simultaneously just meditate on the Lord fully, then we are actually not meditating on anything, and that becomes impersonal. He said we should meditate on different parts of the Lord's body, from the feet of the Lord upwards to the distinctive markings upon the sole of the Lord's lotus feet. This is so wonderful. Today, we will practice this meditation on the Lord's sole of the Lord's lotus feet. But after that, one should meditate on the service that he has done for Narayan. Then meditate upon Lord's thighs and navel, and then the emeralds of his necklace, which turn white. Because of the reflection of the necklace of the pearls, they become white. Then we should meditate on the Lord's chest, then the Lord's arms, his disc, his conch, club, lotus-like face, his compassionate glance, his smile, his laughing and his lotus teeth. We had discussed about different kinds of laughing of the Lord, different kinds of smiles of the Lord. We should meditate on that. And his lotus teeth. And what to speak of the lotus face? What to speak of the lotus teeth? If that is so glorious, imagine the words that are coming out from the lotus mouth. Srimad Bhagavad Gita are nothing but the words that are coming out of the mouth of the Supreme Lord. That must be so beautiful. As we are reading Srimad Bhagavatam, we are actually meditating on the body of the Lord, just as it's described here by Kapila Dev. We had discussed that the lotus feet are the first two cantos, and then the thighs, and then the navel, and all these different cantos. The 10th canto is the lotus face of the Lord. Simply by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, we are executing Sankhya Yoga, we are executing Bhakti Yoga. So let's for some time meditate on the lotus feet, the markings that are there on the lotus feet of the Lord. All right, you ready? Let's sing these beautiful verses which describe the markings on the lotus feet, on the soul of Srimati Radharani as well as Sri Krishna. Not just Sri Krishna's lotus feet. We'll meditate on Radha Krishna's lotus feet. You'll see there are markings which are very similar. There are about, of the 19 markings, there are about 10 markings which are very similar between Radharani and Krishna, but on two different soles of the lotus feet. Chandradham kalasam trikona dhanushi kham goshpadam proshthikam sankham savyapadetha dakshine pade konashthakam swastikam chakram chatra Yavanakusham dhvajapavi jamburdhvare khambujam Vibhranam harim munavim sati mahalakshmi archintangrim bhaje. I worship Lord Hari, Krishna, whose feet are endowed with 19 great opulences. On the left foot, the half moon, water pot, triangle, bow, sky, cow's hoof print, fish, conch. And on the right foot, the 8-pointed star, swastika, wheel, parasol, barley corn, elephant goad, flag, thunderbolt, jambu fruit, urdhva and lotus. These are the markings on the lotus feet of Krishna, lotus feet of Srimati Radharani. Chhatri dhvajavalli pushpavalayan padmordhvare khankusan Ardhendum chayavam chavam anuyashaktim gadam syandanam Vedi kundalamatsya parvata daram date anvasavyam padam Tam radham chiram munavimsati mahalakshmi archintangrim bhaje. I worship Sri Radha, whose feet are endowed with 19 great opulences. On the left foot, the parasol, ari, flag, wine, flower, bracelet, lotus, urdhva elephant goad, half moon, and barley corn. And on the right foot, the Shakti, club, chariot, altar, earrings, fish, mountain, and conch shell. Each of these markings have very special significance in our own devotional life. When we meditate on them, certain mystical things start happening within our minds as we take shelter of the lotus feet, of these markings on the lotus feet of Sri Sri Radha and Krishna. There is the Ardha Chandra, half moon. This symbolizes how the lotus feet provides shelter to the devotees. Just like even Lord Shiva has a half moon, just like these devatas have decorated their own heads with the soles of the lotus feet of the Lord. That's why the Ardha Chandra is on the lotus feet. It's also the moon. It showers the nectar with its cooling rays. Similarly, the lotus feet of the Lord, which has this Ardha Chandra, showers nectars upon the devotees. When the moon comes, then it destroys all the darkness. Similarly, when we meditate on the Ardha Chandra of the lotus feet of the Lord, then it completely destroys the darkness of the soul. The half moon also, it indicates the Lord's toenails, because his toenails are like 10 half moons. They shine like splendorously full moons. And because of the shining of these full moons of the toenails, the real moon, not the real moon, the unreal moon of the material nature has shriveled up in shame, and therefore it appears in half form. That how can I appear in front of the Lord's toenails, which are brilliantly effulgent full moons? Then there is the pitcher, which is the kalasha. This shows that the lotus feet of the Lord, they hold the pure nectar, just like Dhanvantri held the nectar pitcher, the kalasha of nectar. Similarly, that's full of nectar. This also indicates that his lotus feet can pour out nectar that will extinguish the blazing threefold miseries within our heart. It is full of auspiciousness. Then there is the bow, which is also called dhanu. This reveals that one who has taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord will remain free from worries, because the Lord will protect with his bow and arrow. And those who have, whose minds have met the target of the lotus feet, their love condenses as a result, and the prema ashru start flowing from his eyes. Then there is the sky symbol, which is ambara. It means that the lotus feet are all pervading. They are not just at a particular location, it's everywhere. And it shows that the feet are unattached, just like the sky. There is cow hoof, goshpada. This signifies that if we take shelter of the lotus feet, this goshpada will make the worldly worries into a very small and insignificant water that is made by the calf's hoof print, and then we can easily cross over. Fish, matsya. This shows just like a fish cannot live without water. Similarly, those who are surrendered devotees, they cannot live a moment without directly associating with the lotus feet of the Lord. It also shows that just like the fish is very fickle, similarly the mind is very fickle. Based on the waves, it goes this way and that way. So similarly, the lotus feet of the Lord is very fickle. Only after meditation and desperately begging for the mercy can we meditate on the lotus feet of the Lord. It also indicates that when there is fish-like wetness in the heart, when the heart is not dry, then the Lord's lotus feet will come and reside in our heart. Then there is conch. Conch is shankha. Shankha removes the inauspiciousness within our lives. And it proclaims ultimate victory for devotees. Disc or chakra. This mark, it cuts down, this chakra cuts down the 6 enemies. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mad, Matsarya. Within the hearts of the devotees. If we keep the lotus feet of the Lord, the chakra in the soul of the lotus feet of the Lord will just remove all these sources of miseries and then give brilliance, just like the chakra we had describe the glories of the effulgence of chakra during Lord Varahadev's pastime. It just removes all ignorance, the effulgence of chakra. Then goad, which is called ankusha. Ankusha is a stick which is used to control the elephant. And this indicates that meditation on the lotus feet of the Lord, it brings the elephant of devotees' minds under control and keeps us on the right path. This is for the control of the mind. We meditate on the Lord, automatically the mind is controlled because of this elephant goad or ankusha. And then it is also said that if we meditate on the Lord, then we become superior among men, just like superior men, king rides on the elephants. Then there's the flag, which is dhwaja. This announces that for the devotees that are meditating on the feet, they give security and protection. The flag, dhwaja. Vajra, thunderbolt. This reveals that the meditation on the lotus feet smashes to pieces the mountain of devotees' karmic reactions of the past sins. So as we are meditating on the Lord's lotus feet, this is exactly happening right now. All of our mountains of sins are being eradicated, but we should be very careful we don't create the mountains of sins again. And then it indicates whoever holds on to the lotus feet of the Lord, they become as exalted as Lord Indra, who has the Vajra weapon. So this is very important. You can see the Lord's lotus feet is soft as lotus, but hard as thunderbolt. Both symbols are there on the soles of the feet. That brings us to the next one, lotus, Kamala. This mark, it increases the nectar in the minds of devotees who are bee-like devotees, who only see the good in others. This also signifies how the lotus grows out of the water, but it remains in the water, but not of the water. Similarly, his lotus feet are always transcendental. It also signifies that his lotus feet are soft like lotus petals, but they are hard as thunderbolt as well. It reveals, just like the lotus, it blooms by the day and then it contracts by the night. Similarly, those who remain in the meditation on the lotus feet, all their ecstasies grow, but their darkness is dispelled. Then the other is flower, which is pushpa. Pushpa means flower. It's as soft as flower petals. And the fame of the lotus feet of the Lord spreads like the smell of the flowers everywhere. And then when the lotus feet comes, when the flower is coming, the fruit is always coming. Similarly, when the lotus feet comes, we get the fruit of devotional service. Then there's the club, which is the gada. It is to chastise the lust within our heart. He hits with the gada, the lust within our heart. And whoever takes shelter, their ancestors also get benefit. The altar or Vedi, this proclaims that sins of those who meditate on the feet are burned up as if on the altar of sacrifice. They're completely burned up by sacrifice of knowledge, by sacrifice of on the lotus feet of the Lord. It indicates that the universe, it's nourished by the brahmanas who are offering sacrifices. Similarly, lotus feet gives nourishment. And the final is umbrella or chhatra. This is self-evident that this mark, it proves that those who have taken shelter of the lotus feet, they are shaded from all this rainfall of material miseries. And those who sit in the shade of the lotus feet, they become exalted like the kings who are always walking with the umbrella. So this is the glories and meditation on the lotus feet of Shri Shri Radha Krishna ki Jai. This is what Kapila Dev says. Of course, these glories of the lotus feet is not in Srimad Bhagavatam, but Kapila Dev says the Ashtanga yogi, he must meditate on the lotus feet of the Lord, on the soles of the lotus feet of the Lord, where these markings are present. And finally, we come to chapter 29, which is explanation of devotional service. Because Devahuti asks, okay, you told me about the Lord, you told me about the material nature, you told me about living entities, you told me how the living entity can get out of the material nature, you told me what's the relationship between the Lord and the material nature as creation. Now I want to know more about how the living entity can get out by devotional service. Tell me about devotional service. Tell me about time again. Tell me about samsara, this cycle of birth and death. So Kapila Dev says, okay, I will tell you. First of all, understand devotional service is very pure. By nature, devotional service means pure. For example, when we say light, Prabhupada would say light means sunlight, not bulb light and this light and that light. They all get their light from sunlight. Similarly, devotional service means pure devotional service. But depending on the mode in which the executioner of that devotional service is executing the devotional service, there are 81 varieties, 81 categories of devotional service. Can you imagine? We are doing bhakti. There is the pure bhakti, but then there are 81 categories, and we'll explain how. It's very simple. Don't worry, we're not going to another 81 one by one, but it is said, Abhisandhaya yo himsam dambham matsaryameva va samrambhi bhinna drigbhavam mayi kuryat satamasa. Devotional service in the mode of ignorance. But when it is executed by a person who is envious, proud, and violent and angry, and who is a separatist, this is a word, it says separatist, bhinnadrik, he is considered to be in the mode of ignorance. Devotional service is pure. We chanting is pure, but the person's motivation is in the mode of goodness, passion, or ignorance. Offering bhoga is pure. Worshipping the deity is pure. But when we are performing arti, are we actually performing arti for the pleasure of the Lord? Or are we performing the arti to say, look how everyone is seeing, how wonderfully I'm doing the chamara? Then we are not actually performing arti to the altar of the Lord. We are performing arti to our ego, which is on the altar. It is devotional service, but it's devotional service in the mode of passion and ignorance, depending on the motivation of the executioner. What is devotional service and passion? Vishayan abhisandhaya yasha aishwaryameva va archada varchayed yomam prithak bhava sarajasa. The worship of the deities in the temple by a separatist with a motive for material enjoyment, for fame and opulence is devotion in the mode of passion. When we are performing devotional service simply because we want fame, simply because we want money, simply because we want more and more opulence, it's devotional service because it's connected to the Lord. But it's devotional service in mode of passion. Here also, in passion as well as ignorance, the word separatist is used. Bhinnadrik in the mode of ignorance, prithak bhava in the mode of passion. Both mean separatist. Because a separatist is one who sees his own interest as separate from the interest of the Supreme Lord. So he is separatist, he is mixed. Pure devotee, his interest is exactly the same as that of the Supreme Lord. Such wonderful explanation by Kapila Dev. So practical. It will help us in our devotional service. Am I performing this devotional service in the mode of passion, mode of ignorance, mode of goodness? Forget it. Let me just do it for the pleasure of the Lord, not for me, and I'm good. Right? But this helps when we start having these different kinds of motivation. So, because it is said, a devotee should not wish anything but to execute the desire of the Lord. That is oneness. Then it is not separatist. Now, devotional service in the mode of goodness. Karma nirharam udishya parasmin va tadarpanam yajed yashtavyam itiva prithak bhava sasatvika. When a devotee worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead and he offers the results of his activities in order to free himself from the inebrities of the fruitive activities or the miseries. His devotion is in the mode of goodness. But this is also not recommended. Devotional service in the mode of goodness is better than devotional service in the mode of passion. But we have to go to devotion, pure devotion. Srila Prabhupada, in every purport to Bhagavad Gita, to Srimad Bhagavatam, he emphasizes, don't get stuck in these different modes. Go directly. Pure devotional service is our goal. Pure devotional service is where we have to go. Even though we are offering it as karma yoga, but still, if it has any material mode, even mode of goodness, then even if we are offering the results of our activities, it is still devotional service in the mode of goodness. But pure devotional service, Prabhupada again and again says, anyabhilashita shunyam. There should be no excuse for material or personal interest. Then it is transcendental. That's why devotional service in the mode of ignorance, passion, and goodness, that's how it can be divided into 81 categories. How 81? There is 9 processes of devotional service, right? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atmanivedanam. These are the 9 processes of devotional service. Each of these 9 in mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. You can hear in the mode of goodness, hear in the mode of passion, or hear in the mode of ignorance. You can chant in the mode of goodness, chant in the mode of passion, chant in the mode of ignorance. You can remember the Lord in the mode of goodness, passion, or ignorance. Just like even Kamsa, he remembered the Lord, but he remembered the Lord out of fear, not out of love. So in that sense, we can perform every devotional activity in these 3 modes or beyond these 3 modes. If we do in anything, 9 times 3 is 27. 27 times 3 is 81. Now the question is, I can understand 9 times 3 is 27 because 9 devotional service, 3 mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. What is this 27 times 3, 81? For that, if you have given some notice of what are the subgunas, what are the qualities of the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance, devotional service, you will see himsam, dambham, matsaryam, meaning one who is doing out of violence, pride, and envy. These 3 are subcategories of ignorance. Then there is subcategories of passion, as explained in this verse, where it says that Yasha, Aishwaryam, Vishayan, for sense objects, for fame, for opulence. 3 again, subcategories of mode of passion. And then subcategories in the mode of goodness as well. Karma nirharanam, parasmin va tatarpanam. That is second. Yajet yashtavyam va prithak bhava. Again a separatist. All 3 are separatists because they have motives separate from the Lord. Their interest is separate from the Lord. So 27 times 3 for the subgunas is 81. 81 categories of devotional service is described by Kapila Dev to Devahuti. But he says, my dear mother, go for pure devotion. What are the symptoms of pure devotion? That there is spontaneous attraction to Krishna, just like the river flows towards the ocean without any inhibition. Any kinds of obstacles, it just goes past the obstacles, goes up, down, doesn't think about the obstacle, thinks about the goal. That's direct, spontaneous attraction to Krishna. Even if Krishna gives liberation, they don't accept liberation. They just want Lord's service. And they are free from the modes of nature. Then that's pure devotion. How do we attain pure devotion? Saying this, Kapila Dev ends this particular chapter. In order to attain pure devotion, we should perform prescribed duties for Krishna's pleasure. We should visit the Lord in the temple, make the home a temple, offer prayers to the Lord and touch the lotus feet of the Lord. We should respect every living being as a soul, as a part and parcel of Krishna. Even your boss, Even our managers, we should be able to see them as part and parcel of Krishna. Can you imagine? Practice that. He or she, my manager, is actually belongs to Krishna. He's the part and parcel of Krishna. When we can come to that level, then we can attain pure devotional service. We respect the acharyas. They are compassionate to those who don't have spiritual knowledge. Those who share common interests, make friendship. And those who they respect, those who are higher ups. This is Vaishnava etiquette described by Kapila Dev in third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. How to deal with different levels of devotees, different kinds of devotees. One who follows rules and regulations, discuss Krishna Katha, and not just respect Krishna, they respect other living beings as well. Then you can attain pure devotional service. Where it says, like Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Trinadapi sunichena, tarorapi sahishnuna, amanina manadena, kirtaniya sadahari. Give all respects to others. And then finally, Kapila Dev explains about the time factor, because Mother Devahuti had asked for devotional service, time factor, and samsara. In this chapter, he only talks about devotional service and time factor. Samsara in the next chapter. How time is the representative of the Supreme Lord, it's the feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and through this time factor, he creates and he annihilates. But those who remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead, time does not affect them. Because time is eternal, it carries on all the creation. It is important that we understand all these energies of the Lord, the time, the Mahatattva, Pradhan, Prakriti, because then it makes us understand the all-devouring effect of time. And then it helps us in becoming detached from material activities. Understanding that the source of everything is Krishna. When we understand how Krishna is the source, it helps us. So with this, we will end today. Thank you very much for your patience. And if there are any questions, we can take now. Hare Krishna. Oh, so before we go to questions, we have some quiz. Wow, there are 9 questions today in the quiz. Okay, everyone's doing really great with all the quiz questions and the answers. So now we are upping the challenge a little bit. First, how does the Lord impregnate Pradhan? These all will be shared in YouTube as well as Facebook after the live stream is completed, and you can answer at that time. How does the Lord impregnate Pradhan? How can we understand Pradhan, Mahatattva, and Prakriti in 2 words? How to perform Ashtanga Yoga in Bhakti Yoga? How many markings are similar between Sri Sri Radha Krishna? How many markings are there on Sri Krishna's lotus feet? Please explain one reason for the significance of the half moon symbol on the Lord's lotus feet resemblance. What does the flag symbol in the Lord's lotus feet signify? How many categories of devotional service are there? What is the characteristics of pure devotional service? All right. Okay, we have a question. Shamala Gopika Mataji, can you please explain 27 times 3 again, Prabhu, in a little more detail? Service in 3 modes means like doing service for sense gratification, pride, false ego. Is that not same as next 3 subcategories? Please help in clarifying. Okay, so if you read the verses which are there in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it says that there is the motivation also. So there are 3 gunas: Sattva guna, Rajoguna, Tamoguna. 27 times 3, you understood. But if you see for Tamasa, the 3 categories are Himsa, Dambha, Matsarya. Okay, this is for mode of ignorance. For mode of passion is different. Different 3. Vishaya, Yasha, Aishwarya. And for mode of goodness, it's different 3. because we are worshipping with a motive to destroy the sins, motive to please the Lord, and motive to fulfill the duties. So in this way, three different for each. For tamoguna, it's three subcategories. For rajoguna, it's three different subcategories. And for sattvaguna, three different subcategories. And they are all depending on the motivation of the devotee, the type of the devotee, where he or she has started their journey of bhakti. It doesn't mean that if we are doing devotional service in any of these modes, we should get discouraged and just leave it. No, we should continue, but we should know what our goal is. Shuddha bhakti, pure devotional service. Okay, I hope that answers your question. Any other questions or comments? Okay, Radhika Kasturi Mataji, I have a question. Can you clarify the three things for goodness offers the results and what are the others? Yeah, it's one who is worshipping with a motive to destroy their sins, worshipping with a motive to please the Lord, and worshipping with the motive to fulfill their duties. Remove sins and fulfill their duties, and motive to please the Lord. Motive to please the Lord is in pure goodness. So devotional service in pure goodness is the topmost category, to please the Lord. Okay. Okay, thank you. There is Raji Pechimutu. Okay, that's a comment. Thank you. Prajvani, very nice question. What is before creation? Before creation is just, as we said, it's just the pradhan. And it is said that the creation, the prakriti, is also eternal. Eternal in the sense, sometimes it is manifested, sometimes it is unmanifested, but it exists. For example, we can say, this is my fist, right? Now, this fist, if I open my hand, the fist is gone, right? But the fist is still present. If I do like this again, my fist is manifested. When I do this, my fist is there, but it's unmanifested because all the ingredients for the fist is there. I just have to manifest it. Unmanifest, manifest, unmanifest. Prakriti, the material nature, the creation, does this. It manifests, then it unmanifests. Again manifests, again unmanifests. So creation is eternal. Before creation, of course, as we said, when you say before creation, you're talking about time. Remember, time is also part of the creation. Before creation, there was no time. That means this question itself is not valid. There is no before, after, when, what, not where, nothing, no time, no space. We are trying to understand that creation from within our limitations of time and space. Within our limitations of time and space, we cannot understand or comprehend something which is beyond time, which is beyond creation. We are talking about things which are even before time was created in the creation. But we are trying to understand it from within the control of time. So it's very difficult to comprehend, but we should understand by the word of the scripture that before the creation is eternal, before creation, everything was just one pradhan. Then again, it manifested. Then again, it goes back into pradhan, unmanifested, undifferentiated stage. Then again, but the Lord and the Vaikuntha and the spiritual world, they are eternal. They are always manifested. They are never in the state of unmanifest. So this is where our real home is, the eternal place. All right? I hope that answers. Okay, Shamala Gopika Mataji, can you please kindly give reference to the text? Yes, we can see if you go to Canto 3, chapter 29, where he talks about the three modes of devotional service. I hope that's what you are saying. It's text 8, 9, and 10. Chapter 3, sorry, Canto 3, chapter 29, text 8, 9, and 10 explain about the three modes of devotional service, and then pure devotional service in 11 and 12. Priyanka Mataji, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, these Suktiya, which verses did you sing? Please let me know once again. The lotus feet, this is glorifying the lotus feet of the Lord. The souls, the symbols that are there, the markings under the lotus feet of the Lord. This is actually explained in, I will get back to you about the reference. I'm not sure about the reference, but I got it from another place. But I'll get back to you on the reference of this. Okay. Okay, Meena Mataji, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, if pleasing the Lord is pure goodness mode, then what is pure devotional service? Can you tell me, Prabhu, then which is pure devotional service? Pure devotional service is pure goodness. Pure goodness is actually pure devotional service, because actually pure devotional service does not exist anywhere. If you see, pure goodness does not exist anywhere in the material world. Pure goodness exists only in the spiritual world. But when we are actually spontaneously attracted, one is we are doing it to please the Lord. We have to force ourselves to please the Lord. I'm doing this and I have to remind myself, I'm doing this to please the Lord, let not for myself, please the Lord. That is devotional service in mode of goodness. But devotional service, pure devotional service, is spontaneous. We are spontaneously attracted. We are waiting. When will we wake up for Mangalarti? When will Mangalarti be there? When can I wake up and glorify the Lord? When can I start chanting my rounds? We are spontaneously thinking like that. In the mode of goodness, we get up, we say, yeah, I have to do it for the pleasure of the Lord. I wish it's so cozy right now. I wish I could sleep a little bit. But no, I will wake up. So it's not spontaneous, but we are still doing it for the pleasure of the Lord. So that is in the mode of goodness versus pure devotional service, where it's spontaneous and natural. Like Srila Prabhupada, he would be spontaneously, whole night, he slept only for 1 hour in the night. Whole night he would be writing books. He was not forcing himself. He had the conviction. He had the love for his Guru Maharaj. My Guru Maharaj has said, print books. That's the instruction. I will have to finish this. And out of love, not out of duty, not out of force, out of love, he's doing it. Till we come to that spontaneous platform of pure devotional service, where everything becomes spontaneous, till then, we at least have to aspire for devotional service in the mode of goodness. We have to force ourselves to be in the mode of goodness. I hope that answers your question. Okay, humble request to share shlokas on the auspicious sign of the lotus feet of Sri Krishna. And this meditation was told by Sachinandan Maharaj, and we really loved it, so we thought we could share. We will share it in the WhatsApp group. If you can please join the WhatsApp group for Sri Bhagavatamrita. Now we have 2 WhatsApp groups because of the number of people. WhatsApp only allows 256 people. And now the number of people have grown. So if you can join the WhatsApp group, both the WhatsApp groups, we will share the verses and the translations. Okay, Prajvani Mataji, Shweta Mataji. Okay, Prajvani Mataji, how do the marks appear on the Lord? They are eternal. They are always there. There was not a time when they appeared, and there was a time when they were not there. No, this is the sense of eternity. That's why it's important for us to understand creation, understand time, as Kapila Dev is explaining. So we can try to see how things are beyond time, eternal. There was never a time when these marks never existed on the lotus feet of the Lord. It's always there. All right. Okay, another question by Divyangi Mataji. Can you please let us know how we can try to remain consistently in the mode of goodness? Well, to be in the mode of goodness consistently, if we simply follow the Brahminical culture, where we keep our body clean and our mind clean by constantly following the rules and regulations. Initially, we will follow them out of duty because I have promised my spiritual master I have to chant. Unless we are going through some tough time and then we really take shelter of the Lord. But on other times, we still continue chanting. But our motivation is what? Our motivation is I have to do out of duty, or I should we should take bath, regularly. It cleans the body. We should wash our hands after eating, because if we don't follow these simple things, which in America, many people, they just don't wash our hands after eating. Such simple things, they affect our consciousness without our knowing, and then it affects our motivations. And then even if we perform devotional service, it's in the mode of passion or ignorance, and we are never able to come in the mode of goodness. So following the four regulative principles, Prabhupada said, if you chant 16 rounds and follow four regulative principles, you will be in the mode of goodness always. Meaning, when we are chanting is transcendental, but it will keep our anarthas down. It'll keep our anarthas manageable. If we stop chanting, the anarthas will just blow up, and they every day we'll just be doing things just like materialists. They do things out of their anarthas, out of lust and anger and pride and greed. But if we chant 16 rounds and follow four regular principles, that will keep our level of anarthas down. It'll keep it subdued while it is being purified. Yeah, so I hope that answers your question. Okay, Vani Kompella Mataji, Hare Krishna Prabhu, can you elaborate on what differentiation means? When Pradhan becomes Mahatattva, is it that glance by the Supreme Lord is differentiation? Okay, very good question. Differentiation is it's like an unmarried girl. That's Pradhan. Okay, when she's impregnated, when she's pregnant, and the baby has started coming, now there is differentiation after impregnation, right? Earlier the womb was empty, now, or womb had all these ingredients, but it had not started manifesting the baby. After impregnation, it starts manifesting the baby. Pregnant woman is Mahatattva. And then when the baby is delivered, that's Prakriti. The woman is the same. The material nature is the same, but she is in three different stages. Unmarried girl, the womb is unmarried, of an unmarried girl. The womb of a pregnant woman is Mahatattva, and after delivering the baby is manifestation, Prakriti. Differentiation means that all the modes of nature, the time, if you look at Pradhan at that time, you will not be able to say this is time, this is mode of goodness, this is mode of passion. No, everything is like mixed together. It's all in proper equilibrium, like that. Then when the Lord impregnates, it's like cooking. When we cook, all the ingredients are there, but when you put the fire, then the cooking starts. It starts manifesting, right? So it is, Pradhan is, this glance of the Lord is like the fire which goes in and boot, 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 things start manifesting. It is said from within, the glance from within makes the differentiation, and from without, the time, which is also part of the Pradhan. Suddenly the time comes out, starts affecting the Mahatattva, which is now suddenly has, now you can start seeing, oh, this is mode of goodness, this is mode of passion, but it is still under the egg, right? That is Mahatattva. It started differentiating. Earlier it was all a mass, you couldn't differentiate. Now you can, with the glance of the Lord, when the living entities are impregnated by the glance of the Lord, then things start getting differentiated, but they are still unmanifested until the time starts manifesting all these different activities, and Prakriti comes out like a pregnant woman starts delivering the baby. That's Prakriti. I hope that answers your question. Radhika Kasturi Mataji, in the mode of goodness, if intention is to destroy the sin, isn't this an offense? Well, it's slightly tricky. The offense is if we commit the offense thinking that I will anyway perform devotional service and destroy, then that's an offense. But when we are performing devotional service and we are thinking, I'm so sinful, I don't want to commit any more sins, but please let this devotional service destroy my sins. But you're not committing sins thinking that devotional service will destroy. That is offense. But when you are actually performing devotional service with a mood to not commit any more sins, then but to destroy the previous sins, that is devotional service in the mode of goodness. I hope that answers your question. Okay. Are there any other questions? If not, thank you very much. Thank you for your association. And please like these videos. And if you want these videos to be shared with more and more people, if you want that YouTube and Facebook shares these videos with more and more people, please make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.